All right, good morning, guys. Quick sound check. Sound check 1, 2. How you guys doing this morning? It is, what's up, Mike? Thursday, June 27th, 2019. We've got a couple more days left here before the end of the first half of the year. That's pretty crazy. All right, let's take a look here at the going good coin. How about you? Let's take a look at the Forex Factory calendar here real quick. Something we've got on the board for today. Obviously, all this stuff came out here at 8:30. Nat gas numbers at 10:30 if you are going to be trading those. And then we have all day G20 meetings, day one of those, I guess. So not exactly sure what time all that's supposed to start here. We can open up the detail here. G20 meetings attended, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really give us a time there. So anyways, I think that could end up having, some impact on those markets here if something comes out, something gets tweeted, any of the sort, right? So keep in mind we could have a little bit of a volatile session there. We've already got a pretty decent range going on in the overnight session as well. And if we kind of take a look at the board here, we've got S&Ps up 0.26%, Nasdaq up 0.48%. Russell up 0.30 and the Dow up just 0.01%. So Nasdaq's the leader this morning, followed by the Russell, the S&Ps, and the Dow being the laggard here. I'd venture to say a lot of that has to do with, I think there was some news coming out about Boeing and their stuff not being, Boeing gapping down about 12 bucks here this morning, 363 and change here. Kind of gapping down into this zone. So that's going to have a little bit of an impact on the Dow there, so that makes sense. But let's run our analysis here, see what we're looking at for today. Like I said, we've got a pretty decent overnight range so far, about 21 points in the S&Ps, 76 points in the Nasdaq, about 11 points in the Russell, and 220 points or so in the Dow so far. So pretty decent ranges so far. And what I'm going to be looking at for today is we've got this 29.14 level in place here for the S&Ps, and we came down, we traded 29.1475s here in the overnight session is what I'm showing as the overnight low there. If we take a look at that, it's going to come in right here, 29.1475s. We traded 29.1450s right there before the bell yesterday. So 2 ticks in front of that level. You can see that rallied us up into our next level here, 29.2875s. That held to the tick. We pulled back, finally pushed through it, pulled back one more time, and then took off, and now back underneath that level again. So for the S&Ps here, this zone right in through here, 29.2875s all the way down to 29.14 is going to be my do not trade zone for today. So if we're inside of that zone, I'm not looking to do anything here with the S&Ps. If we can prove strength and get up through 29.2875s, going to need confirmation closes, going to need an uptrend, something like that above that level. If we can do that, then I'll start looking to the long side of this market. If we crack under 29.14s, then I'll start looking to the short side. Now, there is one exception to that rule, which would be a touch of either of these levels intraday here. So if we rally up, we test 29.2875s, and we get good reactions to the downside off that, then you can look for more aggressive shorts off those reactions from 29.2875s. Same thing here on the downside with 29.14s. If we sell off aggressively down into 29.14s and we're getting good reactions, then we could play that as a range, kind of back up into 29.2875s. But anywhere kind of batting around inside of this zone is not something that I want to mess with there. If we crack to the downside, we've got some room to go. I think we can kind of push down here towards that $2,900 number again. 28.9975s is a level in there. There's a small stopping point here, 29.0550s there, but I don't think that'll be too much in the way there. And then if we get up through 29.2875s, that'll end kind of this hourly downtrend here that we've started to put in place, and I think that gets us a move all the way kind of back up to 29.60s or so, and then from there it's whether or not we're going to break out and get new essentially all-time highs in the S&Ps up there. So again, going to wait for one direction or the other here to break and continue the trend either to the downside or in this little kind of small time frame downtrend we've got going right now and push to the upside. Yep. Yeah, 29, 28, 75s is a pivot there on the day. All right. So that's what I'm looking for there in the S&Ps. We take it over to the NASDAQ here. NASDAQ, again, up more on the day, 0.48% here. It is the leader of the day. And the NASDAQ's going to pretty much open right at its level to break above. So NASDAQ's do not trade zone is going to come in here at 76.24s to 76.8875s. Now I realize that's a pretty large do not trade zone, but it was fairly sloppy action in and around here yesterday, coming off this resistance level of 76.90.50s that we had in place. And then that level moved today to 76.88.75s. So as long as we can get through that level here today, start pushing higher, then I think NASDAQ has a shot at getting up through these kind of 77.19s, which were yesterday's highs. We traded 77.16.50s here in the pre-market session so far, so we pretty much got almost to that level, and haven't been able to push through that. So again, if we get through 76.88.75s, we've got a lot of room to the upside here. It's going to need confirmation closes above. We could not get that at all yesterday. 76.90.50 was the level. You can see we traded tails all up through here and could not get confirmation closes above. So market was unable to continue that rally and then just dipped off and sold into the end of the day. Again, NASDAQ here did not break through Tuesday's low, or even get like relatively close to that on this down move. NASDAQ was actually holding up really, really strong yesterday. And I think that will continue to be the case today, given it's already showing the same thing. If for whatever reason we lose this strength here, NASDAQ gets under 76.24s, then I think we've got a decent amount of room to fall here into kind of 75, 66, 75s there. So if we do finally crack under 76.24s, we've still got plenty of room to go in order to take an entry here. So not going to be looking for shorts here until we crack that level. The risk reward is going to be plenty fine once we crack under these levels to try and risk a short inside of what could be a little bit of a slop to uptrend potentially breaking here, or downtrend breaking into an uptrend here inside of this zone. So I want to avoid that if at all possible. And oops, moving over to oh yeah, all three of them do. Y'all gotta add pictures in the Discord. Get yourself a profile picture going. All right, moving over to the Russell here. So Russell again has a really nice looking daily pattern here. Oops, weekly chart, 4-hour chart. That's third time's try. Yeah, there we go. All right, so 5 days to the downside here. Small gap up yesterday. Tried to get something going. Again, we could not get through that 15.35.50 level. Traded 35.70s. So almost traded that level to the tick yesterday. Small push through there right at the initial, what was that, 15 minutes into the day there. And at this point, Russell is still in a downtrend here. For Russell to end that downtrend, it's going to need to move up through 15.2740s on the day here. So up through 15.2740s, I think we can start paying a little bit closer attention to the Russell for a long, and then it actually will end and I think get a nice rally here up through 15.3550s. Again, we got to that level yesterday and were rejected off of it basically by what's the low of the day? 15.1980. So basically 15 points off that level of 15.3550s here for the Russell yesterday. So excuse me. So if that does break 15.2740s, I'll start paying attention to it. If it doesn't and wants to continue working its way lower here, I'll go ahead and allow it to do so. I am not going to play this thing 5 days straight down to the downside. but it looks like it's got room into 15, 16.10s or so there. And we got about 3.5 points away from that level so far in the overnight session. So if we do come back down on the day, it would make sense that we could actually probably get to that 15, 16, 10. All right. Take a look at the Dow here. Nasdaq's trying to hold this 88.75 here prior to the bell. All right, taking a look at the Dow here. So levels in place for the Dow. We've been watching this 26,485s here. If we were able to crack the 26,628s up here, or actually they were 631s at the time, but if we were able to crack those and start selling, then that was going to be where we could end up at, was 26,485s. In the pre-market session, we traded 26,445, so we did push through that level by about 40 points there. You can see there's a bottoming tail here. This was at like 6 o'clock this morning. Markets ended up selling off pretty well and recovered that move up over 485s and now starting to push its way up a little bit higher here. The level that we're going to need to break to the upside, which we've already traded it again in the pre-market session here, is going to be 26,628s here. So market needs in the Dow at least above 26,628 or a retest of 485s. I think the higher probability here is that we'll push up to 26,628 prior to getting that 485. That's a really nice reaction we saw down there. Really hard selling there about 6 o'clock this morning. I'm not quite sure what was going on there, but if we look at the extended session here, you can see we pretty much came right off that 628 level there and straight down into 485s, and then now trying to work our way higher again. So given this strength, given this pattern, I would expect us to start pushing higher as opposed to kind of retesting this level. Again, if we don't do that, if we don't start pushing higher and the Dow comes back down and retest that level, we can start looking at shorts under 485s in here, and that's pretty much got a lot of room to drop. I don't know how much of that is going to actually happen today. You can see there was a small level in here as well. 447s, we traded 445, so pushed through by like 2 ticks there. And if we do get down there again and start cracking, we'll see kind of what the what this action looks like down in here and kind of what the reactions are, and that'll dictate as to kind of how far we think this drop could come. Again, not really anticipating that, but if it does happen, want to be prepared for it. Yeah, Boeing news, all I found after 6 a.m. Yeah, it was an interesting drop just across the board. Looks like maybe there was some news on that 5-minute bar at 5:45 this morning, which I didn't see anything on the calendar. So it's an interesting kind of 5-minute bar there, though, for the markets. 5:45. There was an Italian 10-year bond auction at 5:16, but either way, it moved us in the right direction, moved us into some levels we were looking for to trade in there, and it also affected gold. So if we take a look at gold here, you can see that we ended up pushing lower here in gold, and it will drop down to a smaller time frame chart here. So gold wasn't affected here, kind of at that 5:45. You can see a little bit of gyration there, but not too much. Gold was really affected here at 8:45 this morning, sold off nicely there, almost tagged that kind of $1,400 number there. And at this point, gold is just continuing to kind of pull back here, which is to be expected after the rally it's had. So at this point, I think gold, it's got 1400.90 here. We almost traded that today. And then we've got resistance above 1411.1. If anything, I would look to maybe trade gold to the downside today, see if we can't get that 1400 print. And then from there, we'll see what kind of reaction we get. But could work our way down into 1394.10s. Again, the reaction off of 1400.90s or 1400 whole number will really give us a lot in terms of direction and things like that to pay attention to for gold here. And again, I think we are going to get a little bit more of a pullback to maybe some sideways market before this breaks out again. And then last but not least is crude oil. Remember, we do have nat gas numbers coming out at 10:30, so if you are trading nat gas, then you're going to want to pay attention to that. However, in crude oil here, so let's see, clear drawing site. Thank you. So in crude, for crude to get the continuation of the upside there, it's going to need a break above 59.73s here. We've got overnight highs 59.30, overnight lows 58.61s here. Crude's got room to drop back all the way to 58.11s here. And at this point, looks like we should get, the rest of that little bit of move to the upside here towards 60. So look for trends in this to the upside here, and I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be even better once we get through 59.73s there in crude. This thing could have a little bit of reaction around the 10:30 nat gas numbers as well. Nat gas is definitely going to have a reaction around that, and that actually should get crude up to $60 by the end of the week. Would make sense. All right. Yeah, absolutely. I'll take a look at ATOS. What is this? Atosa Genetics. My thoughts are on this, well, twofold. One, I don't necessarily think you can trade it. I think if you're looking for a speculative long-term type of deal, only put in what you're willing to lose if it goes all the way to 0 to the big fat goose egg down here. This thing is super thin. Yeah, super liquid. 278,000 shares traded, 770,000, 105,000. I don't think it's a tradable product. I mean, I guess it got all the way to 232 way back in the day here. This was still really super illiquid. I mean, 5,000 contracts, 5,000 shares traded when it went from whatever this open was, 1,700 all the way up to 2,200. So it moved 500 points. I would not mess with this, to be honest. Again, or put in, $1,000 or whatever your number is, and let it go to 0 at some point. Yeah, I wouldn't mess with it. Yeah, exactly, a penny stock. All right. Well, that's what I got for you guys so far this morning. I'm going to be coming back in just a couple minutes before the bell with everybody in the MLT Discord. If you're not in the Discord and you want to join me in the Discord, as well as Rob and Perry and all of the other MLT team members, then there's going to be a link in the description below where you guys can join me in there. That's where you get to hear me, see me, watch me trade, listen to my analysis, and what I'm doing on the day each and every day. So look forward to seeing you guys in there. If you are new around here and you want to continue to watch me in the mornings, go ahead and click that subscribe button. If you enjoyed this content, please give me a thumbs up on this video. Leave me a comment below for future videos or ideas, things you're struggling with, any and all that stuff that I can help you guys with, and I'd be happy to use that to make future videos for you. So take care. Hope it helps. Trade safe today, guys. Trade safe today, guys, and I will see you on the next video.